has a women's and a women's North American.
Yeah, they have 2.
And they have 31 women on their roster. So at least that's 1 for every 15 women. But 1 for every 3.6. I think that's the bigger issue. It's just the sheer lack of women they have to have 3 belts.
Well, they don't have even so, it's still too many belts. Doesn't matter how many, it's just too many belts. There shouldn't, the belt, it shouldn't be like, 1 every 5 or 1 every 8. There should be 1 belt that means something. That is where you chase, and now you have to have 2, and soon it'll be 4, and soon it'll be 1. You know what I mean? It's going to keep getting added because that's just the nature of the business. Is we just add belts every couple months. We bring out these new belts on TV, and they're nice and sparkly, and there you go. Tony Khan likes to buy belts, and
yes, he does.
WWE likes belts too, because it makes the talent happy, that they got a belt. You know what I mean? It probably makes them, the discussion I've had today shows that a lot of these people would probably just rather have a belt than money, and it's a lot better that way, because if they're going to be happier with a belt than with money, make more belts.
All right, what do we got for New Japan lineups coming up?
Man, we got a lot. The Dontaku's coming up. The what's it called? The Resurgence show's coming up. So let me just go. There's Templario is coming in. They're doing a Desperado and El Phantasmo against Templario and Great Khan match in Osaka on the 22nd. And then there's which one's the tag team title? There's Wrestling Red Zone at Hiroshima Sun Plaza Hall. So this is going to, I think, believe the 26th. And so that's a somewhat big show. That will be Goto and Yoshihashi against Callum Newman and Great Khan for the vacant IWGP Tag Team titles. And then Tomohiro Ishii and Taichi against Naito and Hiromu Takahashi. Yuyo Uemura and Shota Umino against Yota Tsuchi and Shingo Takagi. And David Finlay, Gabe Kidd, and Drill Maloney against Evil Ren Narita and Sonata. And then the Dontaku show. There's a show, Wrestling No Kuni. That's the 29th in Saga. So that's going to be the Desperado Templario IWGP Junior Heavyweight title. It will also have the junior tags, Robbie Eagles and Kosei Fujita, who are probably maybe the best team in the business. So they're going to be defending their titles. And then Great Khan defends the TV title in rematch with El Phantasmo. And then Dontaku will be the first and the third. No. I take it back. It's the third and the fourth. So the third in Fukuoka. So the third will have Tanahashi and Zack in Tanahashi's last ever match with Zack Sabre. And my favorite wrestling matches are Tanahashi and Zack Sabre because they're so great and nobody ever gets hurt. I never worry about Tanahashi when he's wrestling with Zack Sabre because it's not going to be a bunch of flying. It's just going to be really great wrestling and the charisma these two guys have and the skill that these two guys have on the mat. No problem. Phantasmo and Jado will take on Takeshita and a mystery partner. So he's going to have a new ally coming in. Umino and Takagi singles match, which they've been building up. And then the main event is a dog pound cage match, which is probably something reminiscent of that thing that they had with Will Ospreay, that hour-plus match, that insane match they had. So it's going to be the War Dogs, which is Finlay, Gabe Kidd, Maloney, Clark Connors, and Taichi Ishimori against Evil Ren Narita, Sonata, Sho, and Yoshinobu Kanemaru. And then the second night of Dontaku, Fukuoka International Center, has Goto against Callum Newman. That's the match that Jeff Cobb was going to have. Yota Tsuji against Yuya Uemura for the global title. So that's the big stuff there. And then they're going to have the 9th, which is a couple of days later, which will be in Ontario, California. It's Resurgence, and Goto will be defending the title, but that will not be announced until the last minute because, they have to have the Callum Newman match before they can announce a new championship match. And there may be other title matches, but they have announced Takeshita defending the Never title against Phantasmo, which, and they had a really great match in G1, so I think that they'll probably do real well. Ishii, so they said, Ishii will be defending the Strong title against Maloney, which probably will be a hell of a match. Drew Maloney is really freaking good. He's really turned it on. Strong women's title, Mercedes defends in a 3-way against Azumi and Mina Shirakawa coming off of their double count-out match in Chicago. Strong tag team titles, West Coast Wrecking Crew, Royce Isaacs and Jerome Nelson defend against Templario and TJP. And then Gabe Kidd, David Finlay, Clark Connors, and Ghetto face the Young Bucks and two partners, which are strongly teased as Gallows and Anderson returning to New Japan.
All right, Arena Mexico.
Yeah, they had the show Friday, and people were just raving to me about how the heat was even better than it's been. Did you see the thing? I do follow this, but I did not know the statistic. Rocky Romero was on with Case Lowe doing an interview about, New Japan, CMLL, and AEW, since Rocky's got a lot of influence in CML, and he's actually a vice president of New Japan.
Pretty sure he's got a lot of influence in pretty much every company on the planet Earth except for WWE.
Yeah, well, so anyway, he brought up that Salvador Luderoth had told him that they are working on a streak of more than just over 40 shows, 8,000 or more every single Friday night. They have not been under 8,000 for 40 shows. I remember when 6,000 was considered a great house. I mean, that is I don't know if that is a record. I thought that the women's show did 7,500, but again, that's close enough, 8,000. Because it's funny how 8,000. I mean, it's hard to. It's like that's actually like a bad crowd. Well, anyway, this last Friday show. It's like the heat's always great on these shows, but this last Friday, for whatever reason, I don't know what it was, but man, that heat was great. I have only seen, I saw 2 matches, but the one that I want to bring up, so I still have a couple matches left to watch, was it was actually the trios tournament match where you had the CMLL World Trios Champions, which would be Averno, Mephisto, and Euphoria. But since Averno is a light heavyweight champion, he's going to be in the light heavyweight bracket in the tournament. So they just used Euphoria and Mephisto in a tag match, even though they're the Trios champs, against the Mexican National Trios champs, which were Max Star Futuro and Hombre Bala Jr. But Hombre Bala Jr. is injured. So it made actual sense to do a tag team match to determine the Trios champion, the king of the Trios championship. So we had this tag match, and the heat was fantastic. The match was fantastic, but it was a very unique match because this was a match, literally, where from bell to bell, it's almost exclusively Max Star and Futuro, who are smaller flyers, doing move after move after move after move after move. And they just kept doing flying moves over and over. And the crowd is just, the baby faces, the crowd is just going nuts. And they do more and more. And the crowd is going nuts, and they're stomping their feet, and they do the crowd shots. This crowd is just loving this match. And then they end up, with the Rudos, Mephisto did a Angel's Wings off the middle ropes, and Euphoria did a powerbomb off the top rope, middle rope, whatever. So there was a double pin by the Rudos. And this crowd, they were having so much fun. They didn't even care that the baby faces lost. They were just happy they got to see all of this stuff. And it was just, it's like, I'm watching this going like, this psychology doesn't make sense the way I was taught wrestling. And you would think that the people should be mad that the heels won after the babyface threw every move in the world after him. But the crowd loved it. And, you know, when it's over, you just see these smiles on everyone's faces. And, you know, so it's kind of like, you know, like all those rules, you know, and a lot of them make sense. I think the real rule of wrestling is that like Paul Heyman used to say 30 years ago, what works, works. If it works, it's right. And if it doesn't work, it could be everything you were taught and you're doing it perfectly paced and all that. If it ain't working with the crowd, it still doesn't work, even if it's exactly what you're taught it's supposed to be. Because this match, I'm watching this going like, this is just not the way, you know, even in CMLL, you know, you don't see matches like this. You always have the Rudos getting their heat and then building the big comeback and all that stuff that makes sense and it's been done over and over and over again. And they vary from that formula, and it's not a regular thing that they do. And man, this crowd just loved this match. They were going crazy. So it was, and great moves, you know, just nothing but nonstop great moves in that match.
All right, before we get to Raw, let's do the ratings.
Well, the only stuff that was the SmackDown, because the other stuff will be coming out tomorrow. 1,551,000 viewers, 0.45. You know, for a 3-hour show on USA, it's a good number. It was down slightly from the week before. I mean, the week before was more attractive because it had killer competition. I mean, I thought that like last week's number against the competition was tremendous. This was probably about as weak a competition, I think, as there's been on a Friday night. I mean, there was, you know, there's, you know, the only sports, you know, Fox had the UFL, which